I'm Amy from the Unmistakably You Wedding Academy, and I'm here today with Erin from Grow and Bloom. Hi Erin, how's it going?
It's good, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Erin, you're here today to talk to us about 4 things to be wary of when you are organizing your wedding flowers.
Yes, so the first thing that I think couples should consider is to hold off booking a wedding florist prior to a year in advance. It just gives couples too much time to change their minds. You know, as things come up in your wedding planning, you get more details. It just becomes a lot easier. The more details you have, the easier it is to kind of solidify your floral vision.
Right. And I love flowers. They're beautiful. I got so excited when I was engaged. I just wanted to book the florist right away. But
yes.
Now that I'm a planner, I recognize that if I book my flowers before I have my wedding dress, it could change the entire shape of my bouquet. Or,
absolutely.
You know, the girls' dresses will play a role in the color. And
yes.
Should we be worried about florists booking up and not having our choice of florist if we wait until a year?
I feel like typically booking at kind of the year mark gives you plenty of time. As florists, it's hard for us to book any farther in advance, just because it makes coordinating for us a lot more difficult. Okay. So if we keep it kind of that year in mind, it gives us plenty of time to go through all the details, kind of get to that nitty gritty of what a couple is looking for design-wise, while still, you know, not going too far out of that zone.
Right. And I think couples need to realize as well that you can do more than one wedding on a day, unlike
Absolutely.
a photographer or a videographer, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, we have the capabilities of doing up to 3 to 4 weddings in a weekend.
Right.
So it gives us a lot more leeway when we're having consultations with our brides.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Tip number 2.
Okay, so tip number 2 would be for couples to not succumb to the Pinterest trap.
Oh, the Pinterest trap.
This is a tough one.
I'm familiar with the Pinterest trap. It's
yes.
my life.
Oh my goodness. Sometimes you start looking into one thing on Pinterest and 3 hours later you end up somewhere completely different.
Very true.
So for us as florists, we love to see couples bring in inspiration photos.
Of course.
It helps us to gauge kind of the design style that they want to go for, if they have a specific color palette that they're working with. It really helps us to kind of guide them in that direction.
Right.
But it's also worth recognizing that photos that are on Pinterest have been heavily edited. Mm-hmm. Colors can be different. You know, anything that's flawed can be edited out. So we just have to have a realistic idea that some things are manageable and we can bring that, you know, Pinterest photo to life, but it can't be exactly the same most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing I find is couples will be looking at a specific bouquet with specific blooms that they don't recognize, aren't available in the season that they're getting married, or aren't available in the area in the season, or even artificial flowers that they're looking at that's giving them an unrealistic idea of what color is available.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of factors that work into it, and we'll always try to get as close as possible. But there's some things, you know, with Mother Nature that are out of our control. So
right. Absolutely.
We do our best.
Right. And that realistic part, I think, ties in pretty nicely to your next point.
Yes, which is to have a realistic budget.
Yes.
Just like you have a budget for your caterer, your venue, your DJ, you want to have a realistic budget for your florals. It's a huge part of your day. And typically your florals are going to be in most of your photos. Absolutely. So you want them to have, you know, a certain look, a certain aesthetic. You need to budget accordingly. You don't have to have the highest budget. We like to work with anybody's kind of, you know, monetary goals. Mm-hmm. But I always think it's better to, you know, create a couple of pieces that are, you know, really beautiful and kind of set the tone for your wedding than to have, you know, kind of just a mishmash of things that don't really hold as much weight for your flowers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think couples tend to be sort of misled into an unrealistic budget, not intentionally, but because if you're going to go down to your local superstore and you're going to buy a bouquet of flowers and plunk them in a vase on your kitchen table on a Friday afternoon, you're paying this. Whereas if you buy a bouquet of flowers for your wedding, you're paying this. But obviously it's a combination of training and talent of the floral artist, as well as just the care and time that you put into the planning of the wedding. I mean, so many features that go into the planning of wedding florals that don't go into, gathering a couple of stems and wrapping them and sticking them in the superstore.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot more time and love and effort that goes into what we do. And we want to make sure that translates into your wedding designs.
Right. And actually, there's another brilliant segue into your last point, I think. Time and love and effort and talent of a floral designer.
Yes.
What is your final caution for couples here?
One of the most difficult things that we see as floral designers, and it happens time and time again, is that couples want to take on the challenge of designing their own wedding florals. DIY flowers, it's a huge sector in the wedding world, and it's a really difficult thing to do. Especially when you're under a time constraint. You only have, a certain window of time to prepare your florals for your wedding. Typically for us, that's preparing them the day before so that everything is fresh, conditioned properly. When you're getting married, you don't have that time. So to DIY your own flowers when you've never done it before, you don't have, the knowledge or skill on how to make your arrangements mechanically sound, it puts a lot of stress and pressure on you.
Absolutely.
So we just want to let people know that that's what we're here for. We have spent a ton of time educating ourselves, working on our talent and skill, and we're here to make your process as stress-free as possible.
Absolutely. As am I in my job. And so when I have clients come to me early in the planning process and they say, yep, we're going to bake our own cake and we're going to do our own flowers and we're going to sew our own bridesmaids' dresses. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, is your wedding in 10 years?
Exactly. So I'm always really thankful when those couples come back a little later in the process and they say, yeah, we hired a florist. Because it's just, you don't know what you don't know. And it's an awful lot of work, not to mention skill and just, you want to be able to relax and enjoy the lead up to the wedding as well. So
yeah, you want to be sipping mimosas. You don't want to be doodling
around
sister. With flowers. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing those tips. And where can people find you?
So we're located on Richmond Row.
You're in London, Ontario.
Yes, in London, Ontario. We're right downtown, so kind of right in the heart of London. You'll find us surrounded by all of our plants and flower friends.
Beautiful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.